curious, slightly empathetic. Picture human thought as a restless bird, constantly taking flight. Instead of settling on the branch right in front of it, it jumps wildly between two invisible trees, the things that have already happened and the things that haven't happened yet. On this timeline, the glowing node represents your present focus. When that node is dragged backward into the dark cluster of the past, the mind becomes trapped replaying old mistakes and regrets. When the node snaps forward, it splinters into dozens of frantic multiplying paths. This is the brain trying to calculate endless what-if scenarios, a process that generates the physical tension of anxiety. This constant bouncing back and forth is known as mental time travel. While it once helped our ancestors plan for survival, it now functions as a primary driver of psychological exhaustion. Drifting outside the immediate present powers the internal machinery of anxiety and depression. Narrative shift. There was once a young man who lived in the center of this cycle. Pacing through a dimly lit stone room, he found his own mind to be an unbearable tormentor. The mental weight manifested in his body. He could not eat peacefully or sleep soundly. Every time he tried to sit quietly, his chest tightened with the pressure of 1,000 future worries. He sought relief through every standard channel available. He recited prayers, practiced silent meditation, and tried to bury his thoughts in distractions, but the cycle of overthinking remained unbroken. Driven by desperation, he climbed a winding mountain path to find a wise sadhu. He hoped that this teacher, known for his unconventional guidance, might have a secret he hadn't yet tried. He reached the summit expecting a lecture or a new philosophy. Instead, he was met with a task that required him to move his focus from his head to his hands. The hilltop temple was silent. The sadhu sat beneath a large tree, eyes closed, seemingly untouched by the noise of the world below. When the young man pleaded for rest, the sadhu didn't offer a mantra. He simply went inside the temple and returned with a small clay lamp, its single flame flickering in the open air. The challenge was specific. Take this lamp to the village at the bottom of the hill and bring it back up to me. If the flame dies even once, you must return and start over. The young man stepped onto the steep, winding path. Almost immediately, a cool breeze threatened the light. He had to curve his body and cup his hands, shielding the fire from the wind. The extreme fragility of the fire demanded his immediate presence. To keep the flame alive, he had to abandon his internal dialogue and enter a state of active, high-stakes survival. As he moved, the world became a series of obstacles. He stepped around bustling pilgrims and ignored the laughter of children. He heard monkeys in the trees, but he never looked up to see them. On the climb back up, his legs grew heavy and his arms began to ache. Sweat dripped into his eyes, yet his hands remained steady, locked around the flickering wick. The noise around him fell silent. He walked past a brilliant sunset and through crowded paths without registering their beauty or their chaos, because his world had shrunk to the tiny circle of light in his palms. He reached the temple exhausted, but the flame was still burning. He handed the lamp back to the sadhu, triumphant for the first time in years. The sadhu looked at him and asked, "On your journey, did you think about your past? Did you worry about your future?" The young man realized his mind had been silent. This diagram of attention bandwidth shows why. When the present task fills the circle, the shapes representing past and future are physically crowded out. The brain has no remaining capacity to process a worry when it is entirely consumed by the lamp. When your attention is fully occupied by the now, regret and anxiety don't just fade, they lack the mental space required to exist at all. We often treat peace as a distant milestone, something that arrives only after every financial or relationship problem is resolved. In reality, peace is a biological state that arises the moment the mind stops time traveling and anchors to the present. It is always available, provided we have an anchor. Finding that anchor is the first step. You can use the rhythm of your own breath or the physical weight of your feet hitting the ground to tether your mind to a physical reality. The second step is devoted single-tasking. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. By giving mundane actions your undivided attention, You fill your mental bandwidth with the task at hand. The third step is the auditory reset. When the mind begins to drift, use the immediate sounds of your environment, the hum of a fan or the wind outside, to snap back to the current moment. These grounding techniques are the modern equivalent of the clay lamp. They serve as a shield, ensuring that your mental energy is spent on the reality in front of you, rather than the shadows of the past or future. The past exists only in memory, and the future only in imagination. Mentally running toward either one is an attempt to escape a life that is only happening right now. Treat your attention as a finite, precious resource. Guard it as fiercely as that young man guarded his flame against the mountain winds. When you meet this moment with your absolute focus, you discover that it is always manageable, always peaceful, and always enough.